So AutoCAD has been the most versatile design tool that we have in our tool belts for many, many years. And as a result, we've got a lot of data sort of captured in that AutoCAD format. And quite frankly, even with tools like Civil 3D, AutoCAD reigns supreme as my design documentation tool of choice. But in between that sort of idea phase, or at that idea stage up to the design documentation, Civil 3D has us pretty well covered there. But I think the question comes to be of how do I communicate my designs when I'm in that approval process? And for government customers, for those in the public sector, I find that so much of the decision-making process, so much of the typical project is more weighted on the planning side than the actual design side. And so tools like AutoCAD, they do an okay job, but what I find most firms do, or most organizations do, is they sort of take the AutoCAD and they take it over to Photoshop and sort of color it up. But that sort of leaves this sort of question that when I'm in the planning meeting, the stakeholders meeting, whatever it might be, of when somebody asks me about a particular portion of that design, if my visualization, if my rendering, whatever it might be, if it doesn't answer their question, I find myself answering with the term just imagine. And I'm of the belief that the term just imagine are the two most toxic words that we can apply to anything related to design, because, well, the beautiful thing about imagination is it has infinite possibilities, but when we're talking about design, my project is only ever going to be built one way. And so the moment I say just imagine, I've essentially lost that stakeholder. They might nod in approval, but when they see the final product, they're probably still not going to be so enthused about my design. And so with tools like Infraworks, we're able to use that existing data that I have, the new data that goes along with my project, Esri data from my GIS data sources, wherever the data might be. I'm able to bring all of that together, and I'm able to communicate things in a three-dimensional space, and about the same time it would take me to mock things up in Photoshop. But when that question that I wasn't prepared for gets asked in the stakeholders meeting, rather than answering with just imagine, I can say, that's a really great question, and I can simply navigate over to that person's front yard and say, this is what my project is going to look like from your front door.